Welcome back to the LCS, where I wish more than anything you could hear what Raz says during commercial breaks. It's Cloud9, it's Golden Guard.
Just sound effects.
It's
Like,
not-
don't get any
it's
idea.
usually just...
He's not saying massively offensive things.
No, it's just noises.
My goal in life is to get you guys to just crack up as the camera comes in.
Mission accomplished.
This next matchup, Cloud9 Golden Guardians. Raz, this was your call-out top of the day for most exciting game because it sports the official rosters of both teams as intended to play in the regular split. So let's start on the C9 side. A lot of hype around specifically Summit and, of course, Berserker coming in, but Winsome as well.
There it is, Church9 being able to get to see, as you've already said, like Berserker and Winsome, the Korean bot lane for this team. A lot of hype for Berserker as a player who hasn't seen that time in Premier play, but was with T1, right? Greatly heralded as a player with strong mechanics. And Winsome, who I got to see a little bit of course, because he did play at Academy. I think it was either Academy and Amateur in Korea. And so, like, he's had some experience there, but is still going to rather green and is going to need a lot of time, I feel. But then you put your eyes to the top side of the map.
Yeah, I'd love to. I really want to talk about Summit. So he can make the top lane incredibly volatile. Watching him last year, it was pretty much him and Kroko on that team, along with Roams from Effort, their support on Live Sandbox, that were making a lot of games for them. He's an insane Gnar player. I think a lot of people are going to know him for the Gnar, but he plays like a lot of carries. He really likes to kill people. He will sometimes flip lane, but he has a lot of really strong mechanics. So if he and Blaber can coordinate well, it'll mean really good things for this team.
Now, Jat, we have imports coming to the LCS all the time, and sometimes with a lot of hype around them. But I feel like Summit in particular is one of those players that, without having played a game on the LCS stage, is so quickly being talked about as the best top laner in the LCS.
Yeah, I mean, he's also been so incredibly hyped by his own, like, coaching staff. I mean, we have, it's the most exciting roster, but the guy who wasn't pictured here is LS. And when you look at Twitch chat, it's just praised Church9 for infinity on the Twitch chat. And he even said, I actually saw a recommended YouTube video for him the other day where he said Summit coming to the LCS is like Thor coming to Wakanda. Like, he just said that on stream. So, like, he is very outspoken on how he feels the success of this team will be.
I'm glad that he stayed in the Marvel universe, though.
He had to be.
True. Yeah. And so I'm interested because, like, if you just look towards the playstyle, it feels very natural that you want to play through your bot side because Summit has had the experience of being weak side, top side, being able to play well around it, and then just Hulk out in team fights, right? So interested to see what how this team is going to mesh together, of course, because there are just clear language barrier issues. But if they just see the game, the same page right from the get-go, then it's just going to be easy.
So, jury's out, right, on how this Cloud9 will perform, but not for too long, because we'll find out soon enough. On the other side of the rift is Golden Guardians. They're making the debut of their intended lineup, which sports some familiar names like Licorice and Lost, and a returning name in Olleh, one of the sweetest players to ever step on the LCS stage.
Well, also, I think, like, the thing with Olleh is he did take time off, and he had this massive twit longer where he was like, you know, I went back to school, I was gonna work for a company, and I realized, like, I really just want to keep playing. And so he returned. He got, I believe, top 3 in Korean Challenger just from grinding. And I'm really, really interested to see what his form is now because he just kind of took some time and discovered, like, no, I still really want to be a pro player.
Yeah, and what you see on the screen is exactly what you would expect him to bring to Golden Guardians, which is the experience, right? 2 championships with Team Liquid that he was able to come out with. And a lot of it is just like, he is a vocal member on the team, right? He is the type of person that he knows, he has a vivid image of how he wants to play the game. And so, he has a chip on his shoulder, but same with a lot of these players on the team, right? Licorice coming in from FlyQuest, his experience with Cloud9 that he is facing here today, right? Chip on his shoulder. Lost, former TSM, who a lot of the fans really ragged on him for that split, right? Chip on his shoulder. So, you know, Golden Guardians are going to have players that really want to be able to perform.
Well, and since we're watching footage of Licorice, I think we have to acknowledge once again what a year he had last year in switching over to Golden Guardians and how it was just a totally different look, right? Totally different look.
He looked like his career was going to be over before he went to Golden Guardians last year, where he had that big resurgence. He probably hasn't cut his hair since then, which is just increasing his power.
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah, there it is.
But overall, like, the opportunity that I think Golden Guardians has this year with everyone kind of underrating them. They have 5 positional coaches as well as a head coach, so they have heavily invested in their coaching staff. They have a bunch of players who are actually quite experienced. When I did the math, they're the 2nd oldest starting roster in the LCS, but being old doesn't mean you can't learn. So they have so much to prove, and what a better debut than if they were able to shut down the C9 hype train right off the bat.
And this is all before we get to that mid lane of Ablazeolive up against Fudge, but I'm being told that the players themselves are ready, so we're going to waste no more time and toss it over to our casters, one of whom who's been harboring a secret for far, far too long.
Oh?
I'm so sick of pretending to be bald for you.
You agreed to this, Azael.
Just be the only bald caster. It's not a big deal.
It is a big deal. Do you know what they would say to me if that was true?
Yeah, your puns suck.
Watch your mouth. When I found you, you were nothing. A literal world champion and nothing else to show for it? What did I make us?
A duo.
What are we, Azael?
A duo.
What are we?
Duo.
Don't forget it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the LCS. I am Captain Flowers, joined by the man with the most luscious head of hair who knows how to hide it from every single one of our eyes, Mr. Isaac Azael Cummings-Bentley. I cannot believe how convincing your bald cap is.
I was going to stop wearing it, but it found out it's actually in my contract. I would get fired.
Really?
Yeah.
You got to read what's in those, man. That's where they get you. The fine print is where they get you. Let's see how this pick and ban phase is going to go here. Golden Guardians on the blue side, Cloud9 on the red. It's Karma and Corki banned away. We are not going to have any 60% HP rockets here in this game. Thresh, Caitlyn, and TF all off the table as well.
Zeri banned out. Man, this is going to be a really exciting game here. The debut of both of these rosters. Golden Guardians obviously running their Academy squad in lock-in. C9 running a mix of Academy and LCS, not able to have all their Korean players, not able to have their coach LS, so a lot of people are really excited. If you love them or you hate them, you're excited for the game to see how things are going to turn out on Cloud9.
Exactly.
You know, is his thought process about the game and the way he looks at it going to be proven or disproven over the course of the split? I think is going to be something that a lot of people are really following along with. You know, he's a known guy in the scene for really advocating towards playing late game strategies, a lot of scaling, not a big fan of a lot of these early game champions, the Lee Sins, the Nidalees, the Renektons, the Gnars, these types of things. And I'm curious to see, is that what we're going to get? And so far, I mean, two late game champions, 2 for 2.
All right, over on the side of Golden Guardians, they're going to start off with the Yuumi. So this is a pick that, of course, can become a big point of frustration for a lot of people if it pops off, but can be punished early game as well.
I also like the Gwen takeaway when you see Yuumi. Not only is it a strong top laner, but it can also be played jungle. And there's been a lot of Yuumi-Gwen pairings that have been really, really strong in the jungle these days. We get Sona coming out. This is really interesting here. So the aggressive Sona, this is up somewhat for debate. I know Freak is more on the side that enchanters are not a good option into Yuumi. I actually think that they are very, very strong. Sona scales well. And what you can kind of set up is what you're trying to orchestrate is have both the Aphelios and the Sona auto-attacking the Jhin, while only the Jhin can essentially return fire. Yuumi can't just play detached from her partner, and you basically get the...
she could.
You can. You might not want to.
It's really bad.
But it ends up in a situation where as long as both of you are auto-attacking, you're winning out on these trades. It really puts Yuumi on the defensive end where you have to play it more slow, try to hit those prowling projectiles, heal up over time. But this allows you to have the push in lane, to have some really powerful scaling with the Sona, and hopefully come out of lane with a significant advantage in that 2v2.
And as we're heading into the second part of the bans, that last pick of those first 3 for Golden Guardians will be the Viktor. Remember, of course, they banned out the Corki. It's these 2 picks that were the S-tier mid laners during the lock-in tournament, which also raises a question for me, because when we saw Fudge in lock-in, when he was on Corki or Viktor, he looked fine. Off of Corki and Viktor, a lot shakier.
Oh my God.
I'm curious
That's
to see
a
what
locked
it's gonna be
Ivern.
here. Wait. This could be, remember, this could be Ivern jungle, or it could be Ivern top playing like a Janna as well.
Yeah, it's
There's
possible.
the possibility of that. We have to wait and see. Lee Sin, Xin Zhao, Zed, Jarvan, all banned away.
We have Gwen, so like it could theoretically be Gwen jungle with Ivern top. I think it would be pretty weird. I am expecting it to be Ivern jungle with the Gwen just playing top lane and more standard roles. The Zed ban, if you're curious, that is not a mid lane Zed ban. That is a jungle Zed ban. The Viktor's already been picked in. This is something that is very popular, as an assassin pairing. And Pridestalker is a guy that likes to play a lot of these aggressive picks. Qiyana is going to get locked. That's another champion
Similar role.
that is in that similar style. Talon, Qiyana, Zed. If you're an assassin jungler specialist, those are really, really threatening picks. And I'm actually so excited to see a very different look here for the first draft from LS on C9. He's here on stage with the whole squad. This is not something you would really expect. If the Olaf gets in, it's kind of madness. Maybe we're getting something really weird, but I'm expecting that just to be a hover, and we'll have to actually wait and find out what the final pick is going to be here.
Can I just say that I love the fact that the first game that we get of LS's Cloud9 is against a Renekton? I find a certain amount of poetry in this because of how often the Renekton is associated with LS memes.
So this is really interesting. So we do get the Gnar. So it's going to be Gwen mid, very likely. I mean, you could do some sort of a lane swap and move things around. It also could theoretically be a roaming Ivern, as you talked about, because there's been a lot of different takes on this. There's been a lot of wacky attempts at finding a replication of this strategy, right? There's obviously the Janna roaming around. There's been Taric with Predator. There's been Gragas. There's been Bard. There's been all these different things. And getting this here for Fudge might just be a bit of a roaming strategy here, moving around the map with Blaber.
And plus, you and I were actually talking about this behind the scenes earlier. When you have two enchanters, with one of those enchanters being in a solo lane or roaming around from that solo lane position or whatever, you love to have a hyper carry to go along with it. And Aphelios on 6 items is the definition of a hyper carry, just can totally take over the game.
Absolutely. It can be very, very threatening, but at the same time, we're going to have to really watch this, because I'm going to be honest, I have not seen Ivern mid played much at all.
I've seen it together with a Rengar in like Smurf cheese in solo queue, where an Ivern and a Rengar named like his Rengar and her Ivern or whatever, just duo.
Should just be
duo lossless
his
challenger.
Bush, really, that's all you are. You're just dropping the plants for the cat to jump out of.
It works, but that's the only time I've ever seen it is with duoed with a Rengar in solo queue cheese.
So it's not a support item Ivern, and he's not playing Smite. So it might just be a very different look here. He may literally just going to be laning here, and maybe even donating some of the farm over to the Gwen. Some sort of a funnel type strategy along those lines could be interesting. But there's been a lot of different looks along the same lines. Really the roaming Smite Janna, that's the one that everyone kind of knows. We got to see that earlier today. But as that started getting banned, people started realizing, hey, it can work with other things. There's people that are playing lane to 6 on Gragas and Quinn, and then roaming for the rest of the game, never farming again. There are people that are roaming from level 1 with Bard. There's the Predator Taric, that's a new take on it. So it is really this strategy that is somewhat abusing objective bounty mechanics by kind of like artificially lowering your gold income, but you are much more efficient because you are playing an enchanter that have cheaper items. And also just the power of having multiple enchanters on a team. Ivern plus Sona, the amount of shielding that's going to go out can allow someone like Blaber or Berserker to play incredibly aggressively and really can change kind of the landscape of the game.
Makes, at least to me, it makes you glad that you have a champion like Qiyana for Pridestalker that feels good about building Serpent's Fang to be able to cut some of that shielding with how much will be available on the other side. One thing worth pointing out here as we're hovering over the bot lane, the combat summoner spell power greatly favors Golden Guardians. They have heal, exhaust, and ignite, while Cloud9 only have exhaust because the cleanse is taken by Berserker, because he's going to need that later on in the game, versus a Renekton point and click stun, versus the fact that Qiyana can yeet him into the wall. There's a lot of problems later.
Yep, absolutely. Even the Yuumi, just the root can be very problematic, help to lock you down. So this is going to be really interesting. Fudge is starting Bush level 1. You do have the range attack. That has been changed a long time even without the Bush, but you do greatly more damage.
Yes.
Playing that with Airy. So just going to be trying to farm it up. And maybe this is just straight up, he's just standard laning Ivern mid, and it's kind of the new tech. Is a very interesting take. Olleh is playing detached down here and is going to look to try to trade Spell Thieves as much as possible, and we'll see who can really get the advantage here in this early push. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how this lane does in fact go, because Yuumi scales incredibly well, so does Sona, but I think that it's easier for Yuumi to get value when you are paired up with a champion like the Qiyana. You just attach to that Qiyana post lane phase, and if you've not been punished by that point, you become such a huge threat moving around the map. And in all these situations where Qiyana wouldn't quite have lethal to actually threaten 100 to 0, You get that extra AD from the passive from Yuumi. You get that Prowling Projectile, the ult, the Ignite, all these things coming in over top. Just put it to the point where pretty much anyone you find, you can kill.
And I remember that being a conversation point back when Yuumi first came out, and a lot of AD carry players expected it to be sort of this handhold throughout the game that's always going to be there with you. They're like, well, wait a second, Yuumi hangs out with me in lane and then divorces me for a bruiser halfway through. What am I supposed to do? My support left.
That's the reality of cats, man. You know, someone comes up with a treat. These cats aren't loyal.
There is no absolute definition of a real support down there with that Yuumi, but it's okay. We'll see how Olleh decides to play this one as it moves forward. Fudge is shoving the lane up here early on, so he'll be able to have that little bit of control down here in bottom. Looks like we've got pretty even farm between our two sides. Lost on the Jhin. This is going to be one of those champions that will also be able to play back further in the fights while still contributing with Deadly Flourish and with the Curtain Call. So even if the Yuumi is permanently attached to a Renekton or a Qiyana, and Viktor's going in with them, and they're all trying to burst down these valuable targets, Lost will still be able to contribute to those fights.
Yep, absolutely. Safe. And so far, so good for Lost and Olleh. You know, playing down there on the bottom side, they have been the ones that have a slight CS advantage. They've been pushing in, and Winsome is actually quite low on mana here. You know, Olleh has been doing a pretty good job actually playing detached and trading this out very well. Fudge, if you're interested, is going for at least a couple of points in shield so far, so expected him to go for the shield max. He is going to go for that. It does help a little bit with the wave clear here. He's just putting down the Ws, buffing up that auto attack, trying to push in, and utilizing that shield to then walk into the wave, try to get a pop onto a Ablazeolive, try to get a pop onto the wave, and really get that shove. And I do think that this can work fairly well in the earlier stages. I do wonder what the strategy is going to be post 6 if they start to really give farm over to Blaber or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I think as the laser upgrade comes through for Ablazeolive, you know, once he hits that 100 CS mark, he starts to upgrade, he starts to get some more items in there, you're not going to be able to contest the push as an Ivern, right? You can do this in the early levels, but the wave clear of Viktor is going to vastly outpace that of the Ivern, so you know, this seems like it's working totally fine thus far, and if he CS's this well, he's going to be even or even 1 CS up or 2 CS up. But my curiosity is really about what the game plan is later on. You know, how do you advance this forward?
Down here in bottom, we'll see this one get shoved up here yet again. Lost almost out of mana, so we'll see the Golden Guardians bottom lane back up now with Olleh. Also having most of his pool depleted. They don't want to get caught out in a bad spot. No summoner spells expended anywhere except for those TPs. You can still see the teleports available for the side of Cloud9 Summit, just now using his to get back to lane. Ablazeolive has already TP'd back. Blaber trying to apply a little pressure here and get that wave shoved in to allow Fudge to get a recall of his own, but not like there's any real kill pressure there.
Yep, just wanted to reset the wave. You know, wants to be able to push that in. There's only 3 minions there, so will eventually bounce back towards Fudge, so doesn't really have to worry about losing too much. On the top side, Summit doing Summit things. Playing Gnar was his most played last year, and Licorice could be in some trouble here.
Summit's after him, man. Level 5 versus level 5. Pridestalker's coming in, so Licorice will be safe for now. Pridestalker gets the root. Summit getting himself back away. He knows he's under no threat of an actual kill, so he returns a little bit of damage, but he just barely misses out on that solo kill.
Yeah, the Tabby's helping out there, but he forced the flash, so that's a big deal. So Licorice is now down on that flash. Had to flash. Was a good one from Licorice. As soon as Summit hits 6, immediate rank up of the ulti. Does throw that ulti down. If that connected, Licorice would have died there, not being 6 himself. And Fudge now has Daisy available. What is the plan? Going to be starting to move around the map here, potentially. Yep. They're using that bottom lane to start up the dragon, to start stacking that. 620 in, getting the first dragon. That's a pretty fast clip. And if you're playing for a soul win condition, you're generally pretty happy to see Cloud as the first because that's not usually the soul you want. So it's going to be a pretty high value soul. You know, we know it's going to be Ocean or Infernal or Hextech. All of those are super good. So if Cloud9 want to play for a dragon stacking strategy, they're going to be happy with the RNG this game.
And you saw right there in mid, Fudge using Daisy as sort of the delivery mechanism for those shields like you were talking about earlier, putting him on himself to blow up inside the wave. Well, now he can do it with Daisy. But the problem with that is, against somebody like Viktor, who has a very powerful trading pattern with the E and the Q combined, Viktor can guarantee that both parts of E and both parts of Q hit Daisy every time. So it's not like Daisy's going to be this permanent fixture in the lane that Fudge decides to stay there instead of.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not gonna last that long, especially as he gets more levels. This will get harder and harder, I think, to pull off. Fudge with the early Kindle Gem. I'm assuming that he's just gonna go support item first, you know, probably a Moonstone or something along those lines, and they are just going to group at every single objective, and they're gonna say, all right, time to fight. And if Golden Guardians are unwilling to do that, you're going to put pressure on through soul stacking, right? Whereas on the other side, you're looking at the Viktor, and if I'm playing Viktor and Ivern, I'm saying, slow the game down, right? I want to play for late because you're likely
both hit 6 items.
Exactly. You're likely going to get a lot more out of it in those circumstances. But there's some really powerful characters here to buff up on the side of C9. It's not just the Aphelios, it's also the Gwen. The Gwen can be this dive buddy here almost alongside that Gnar. And when paired up with Ivern, having that offensive shield is so powerful. You hit a root, you can get the instant dash onto them as a melee champion like Gwen, then you put the shield for the offensive damage, the shielding, but also the slow is really, really effective.
Oh, flash coming out from Pridestalker, who finds Summit just waiting. Flash for nothing. First blood, Golden Guardians.
Nicely done. Pridestalker getting so aggressive. Action in all 3 lanes, actually. Pridestalker just lights up Summit, who didn't respect the challenging smite burn there, so he flashed away, but he already had that on him. He goes down. They're going to be taking Herald on top side, and then in the bottom lane, Flash is forced on Winsome by Olleh going aggressive. Fudge is pushed back as well, so they get the kill, they get the Herald, and Golden Guardians looking strong in the early minutes.
And it's not like Blaber got anything back for that play being made by Pridestalker. Blaber was actually on the Herald, was not able to join the fight in time to save his teammate or turn anything around, and then has to concede Herald because all of a sudden you're way outnumbered and outgunned, cannot be done. So nicely done there from the Golden Guardians. Now at a 1,000 gold lead. Let's take another look at how it happened. Someone had a lot of HP here.
Man.
Keyword had.
That was actually just beautifully done by Pridestalker. Zero hesitation at all. The hop came out actually pretty quickly from Summit. That was an instant R flash there from Pridestalker. Blast cone's over, R flash, knows the range, gets the stun through, and just perfectly executed combo there. Weaving in the auto, getting the execute Q. It's enough damage to just zero out Summit, even with those early tabbies who might have thought that would keep him safe.
And despite the fact that one of the solo laners on Cloud9 is a support champion that builds support items which have lower price points, the first completed big item in this game is the Youmuu's Ghost Blade on Pridestalker, and I really like this on these lethality-based assassin junglers. It allows you so much extra mobility across the map through the movement speed. The active increases your gank power. It's just such an effective early item to take a lead and keep rolling with it.
It really is. I mean, it means you don't necessarily need to rush towards boots as a lot of junglers feel that they do, just to be able to get out on that map. So that is going to feel really, really good. And anytime I see Qiyana, Talon, these types of champions, and they have that Yuumi down in the bot lane, when that assassin starts to get ahead, I start to get really worried about how the game is going to go for you, because you can play so aggressively with a lead when you have that Yuumi strapped onto your back. So Licorice going for some nice trades up here, but really it's about the exit. When you are playing Renekton into Gnar, you can get the nice initial trade, but with tier 2 boots over on the Gnar side, if he hits the hyper proc, he gets the speed up, he can chase you down with the boomerang slow, and really start to win out on those trades on the back end.
All right, we've got 50 seconds until our next Drake spawns. You mentioned how Cloud9 already got that first one nice and early. It's already the Cloud Drake, so you know if the soul is going to be valuable. I expect them to be invested in this second one here as well.
I think so too, and my curiosity is, will Fudge be able to complete his support item before that dragon spawns? Especially if he can. That I think would be really, really big if he can get back to base, get a support item, get over there with a Moonstone that early. You're going to be feeling pretty damn good about your chances of it. No flash on Winsome, he's dead.
Oh, they've already got him rooted. Pridestalker has joined the fight, and Winsome has joined the dead. Golden Guardians, 2-0.
Exhaust does nothing but delay the gray screen there, and now Pridestalker off to the races. Another kill. Berserker is going to get zoned out here. Golden Guardians are creating big advantages here. It has been Pridestalker that has been much more proactive, and Blaber is over here trying to just help them clear that out. Berserker dropped the ulti offensively, but the plates are going to start cracking. That's 4 plates down already. They're creating a pretty big lead, and the dragon is up now, so we'll see, can Golden Guardians actually start this up? Because Ablazeolive is pushing mid now too, and this is kind of that point that I'm talking about. The upgraded laser is through. Once that happens, you cannot compete with Viktor's wave clear as an Ivern. It's just not going to happen. So things starting to get a lot more tricky here for C9, but a lot was spent from Golden Guardians, and because they take those plates, they delay their bases and will be a dragon going the other way.
Exactly. Blaber's already ready to go. Ablazeolive is underneath the turret, and Fudge is a bit stuck, so it's not like he can do a whole lot to contribute to this, but they have bottom lane control, and that's enough. Of course, the shield from Ivern will be enough to keep him alive there. Ablazeolive having no ulti means there's not enough burst to get through that one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, honestly, this has been a pretty fun early game to watch so far. Cloud9 with the dragon control. Awesome plays coming out of Pridestalker to keep Golden Guardians in a good spot with a 2,000 gold lead 12.5 minutes in.
Yeah, the item completions are coming through now. So Nashor's is done. Gale Force is done. The Moonstone is through. So that's kind of what I expected. Those first round of items coming out here for Cloud9. But the problem is, on the other side, you have 2 kills on the Qiyana. You farmed a lot of plates on the bot side. You farmed 2 plates solo by Ablazeolive. So, gold is going to be in the advantage of a lot of these carries. You can see Pridestalker is 1,400 ahead of where Blaber is, who has just been power farming the whole game.
Yeah.
He wants to really be this big threat as well. He has more sustained damage, has a lot of scaling, obviously, and can be a threat here with that Sona and with the Ivern behind him. But I am surprised that Cloud9 has not gotten a little bit more scrappy, a little bit more aggressive, because they are slowly falling further and further behind. And maybe the read is that's okay with their comp, and if that's their read, we'll have to see if they can prove it, because thus far, I think Golden Guardians are looking pretty good. And yes, things like the Renekton won't scale that well, but you still have Viktor, Yuumi, Qiyana, Jhin, some really powerful champions towards the later stages.
I feel like 4 minutes from now, that third Drake fight, that's going to be the big fight we're really looking for. Cloud9 will want to take it because they want to have that Drake. Now we got the dive coming out again. Pridestalker, rooted, stuck underneath the turret, and outplayed by Cloud9. They're on the board.
Yeah, the Cloud9 bot lane finally get one back, and here comes the collapse. Fudge is coming in.
Berserker's going to be taken low, but he will get away. Look at the shielding on the man. God bless. That is a lot of extra HP. Ablazeolive's now stuck in the bottom side of the river. He's going to be taken down. Blaber is 1v3 in the 3. Better run. Blaber's doing a lot of damage to everybody else while Cloud9's able to win their 3v1 instead. Double kill back over to Blaber. Olleh, you are not long for this world. Splat that cat. Triple kill. 1v3, Blaber!
It's an ace for Cloud9 in a 4v5. Summit isn't even there. And welcome to the world of enchanters, Licorice. We have got to see that replay one more time, because Licorice got completely stuffed on the flank. He got onto a low HP Berserker, but Sona was there, Ivern was there, and we're gonna see it one more time in the Rocket Flip the Switch replay. Pridestalker had been preying on them. The beautiful ulti that was on the QE was stunned as he came in. Winsome, beautiful timing on that, and then the route to follow up from Berserker, he goes in aggressive. Now track Berserker in this fight. You're gonna see the TP arrive here from Licorice. He gets over onto him, and you think, all right, Berserker is dead for sure, right? The empowered stun goes through, Sona heal, the Ivern shield comes back up. You don't have another stun to actually break this shield, and he just cannot get enough to knock him down. So frustrating there for Licorice. That is the power of enchanters. If you cannot 100-0, you cannot kill it all.
This fight turned into 2 separate 1v3s, one for Licorice, one for Blaber. The trouble for Golden Guardians is Blaber won the 1v3, and that is the damage that happens when you win a 1v3.
I mean, that's all they needed, right? It was starting to feel a little bit scary for Cloud9 as all the lanes were starting to fall a little bit far behind. Well, to be fair, Summit was ahead, but mid-bot, it was starting to feel like, hey, this is going a bit more of the way of Golden Guardians. Pridestalker was getting really strong, but that play on bot side changes absolutely everything. Just like that, Berserker gets a couple kills, 3 kills on the Blaber. All of them went exactly where you wanted.
And they try to make a play topside, go after Summit. They commit both Qiyana and Yuumi ultis, but none of that connecting means Summit is able to get away with the flash. Ablazeolive's going to continue applying pressure over to the turret. Do want to point out, we do have that Serpent's Fang for Pridestalker's second item here. That is so critical, incredibly important. I'm going to need to see some grievous wounds as well with Aphelios healing, Sona healing. There's just a lot that they have to deal with in terms of this support. Exactly as you said in that last fight, the enchanters must be respected.
Yep. And Licorice, he showcased it in the previous fight. You can pop a shield with the empowered stun. He did pop the initial Ivern stun. He just, unfortunately for him, didn't have quite enough damage to actually get the kill after that. So they can break some shields, and they do have very high consistent damage here, with the Viktor. But a lot of it is going to be about the initial punch. This combo of Yuumi plus Qiyana, if they can get into good engage, try to knock someone down. Jhin ulti over top, Renekton coming through. The Viktor is kind of, the icing on the cake there. But so far, Cloud9 doing a pretty good job, and Fudge, impressive enough, has kept up his farm on this Ivern mid. Farming at a pretty good clip, a little bit behind Ablazeolive, but he's right in the mix with all the soul laners.
And we have that third Drake of the game spawning now, and just like Drake number 2, it's Blaber that can just solo it down. You're a Gwen with Nashor's Tooth. You have no issues with this whatsoever, and that does mean that Cloud9 will be on Soul Point on an Ocean Soul map with a team that already has these double enchanters. That is so much defensive potential.
And they're never going to run out of mana then. That becomes one of those things where it becomes very difficult. You have so much healing. You don't need to spend as much mana. Spamming out those heals. You can do things like starting up Baron over and over and over and not having any threat, with double enchanters. Plus all of that. Summit getting pretty aggressive here. Nice
This is that boulder. Yeah, I feel like if that boulder connects, he can walk forward enough to get the range on the ulti, and then really Ablazeolive is under some pressure, but good sidestep there prevents it. Now he's going to turn back into mini Gnar. Ablazeolive, however, nearly out of mana, knows that going after that turret is a little bit too risky.
Absolutely. He's going to have to head it back. It's looking like Berserker is going for Bloodthirster second. We were talking about this earlier. This is becoming more and more and more popular. People really putting such an emphasis on the sustain, on being able to deal with poke. That has gotten really high in this game. Plus just the defensive shielding there. The overheal shield from that Bloodthirster can be very, very powerful to survive against burst from champions like Qiyana. So it will be interesting to see how he wants to play this out. And so far, Golden Guardians, they looked really good in the early stages. After that big fight, they've kind of just turtled it back up. They've lost their gold lead. They are going to have some pretty darn good scaling here from Ablazeolive. 2 items, 2.5 even now done for Pridestalker. So they're getting to a relatively strong point, but they must be able to find some sort of a fight come this next dragon here. You can't just give up a free soul and expect to win. And it really pushed back the timetables because they were looking like they could have fought at 3rd dragon. Now they have to wait for 4, but Fudge is far up. He is looking dead.
Oh, goodness gracious. Blink, and he's dead. Golden Guardians, they make the collapse work that time. They find Fudge, but what else can they get from it? We're at the point in the game now, Azael, where I'm looking not just for the kill, but what does the kill mean? And considering Baron's not on the map yet, everybody up here in this top half, it's not like they can push into the tier 2. It will just be that kill for Golden Guardians.
Yep, they will just get the kill, but still a nice little pickup there, being able to get some more gold here onto Ablazeolive because he's the one that actually cashed in on it. And it's worth noting the skill order here for Olleh. He's not going a Q max. He only put 1 point in Q. He went heal max straight into W. And that is for the bonus, for the attachment here with the rest of his team. When he groups up with Pridestalker, when he's attached to him, it's 16 flat AD plus 16% additional AD on top of that. So it really can put you to these crazy, crazy numbers where Pridestalker is already sitting at 300 AD this early in the game.
Summit under pressure. Licorice going in here. He's ulted up. The Dominus is ready to go. He's going to be hurt by the deadly flourish, but he will not be taken down. Pridestalker going in. Olleh has switched his attachment over to his jungler, and Summit falls. Fudge tries to make his way down there in time to give some sort of an out to his ally, but he's just not fast enough. Licorice going to keep on slashing and dashing forward, but it might be Daisy who pays the price. And again, Golden Guardians find a play, but again, there's nothing else on top of it.
I like how proactive they're being, though. This is kind of how you want to play with these style of compositions. When you have the Qiyana as well as this Yuumi, you have your soul laners push sides, and you just run around the map because you are ridiculously fast in how you can get around the map here. So they want to try to draw Summit to the side lane. First play, they draw Fudge to the top lane. He's answering the Viktor push. All of a sudden, Qiyana, Yuumi, they show up. That's a kill there. Now, you're drawing Summit to the bot lane to answer the push of Licorice. Then, you show up there. You get a kill there. And yes, it's not resulting in the big objectives afterwards, but that is still gold in the pockets of the Golden Guardians, and they're showing the power of this duo. They're showing the aggression and the proactivity that you really want to see. And this is something that's so exciting for me to see from this debut. A lot of new pieces being added in to this Golden Guardian teams, and they are looking proactive. They are looking aggressive. It's been fun.
And I want to go back to what you were talking about earlier with the Yuumi being attached to Qiyana and how it gives you that opportunity to say, hey, if I find you, you're dead. And I think that's so much more relevant even considering there are 2 enchanters. Every little bit of this damage, every little bit of 300 gold worth of stats, 300 gold here, 300 gold there. Blaber's now stuck in the middle. Pridestalker getting back away. Blaber's going to get shielded up. Licorice goes into the Dominus. Blaber's still moving forward, looking to find a little bit more. The man's full HP. This is why every little bit matters. If you miss it by an inch, you miss it by a mile against this comp. Licorice continues the retreat. Daisy's gonna take most of the damage there. Olleh ulti just prevents anybody from chasing further. Cloud9 has ran Golden Guardians away. Dragon spawns in 20 seconds. Lost might get jumped on. Blaber over the wall, forcing flashes. And it's Cloud9 still hanging on A-OK. Fudge gonna be taken low. Chaos Storm is out. Fudge is just fine.
It's the TP is available for Licorice here, though, so can he get back in? They're looking for a pick onto Summit, but Summit even forced a flash, so Fudge flashes. Summit flashes. They're going for the chase here. They want to kill the Gnar before the Dragon.
They're going after him. Summit does
C9's on
have
Dragon,
the
though.
Gnar ready to go. C9, they're going after the Drake. They're saying, give us the soul. Summit buy time. If you're dead, you're dead. It won't matter that much. Shot's not going to find it. The Dragon goes over to C9. Summit even gets away. Golden Guardians have been outmaneuvered around this bottom side, and Cloud9 win a massive prize. Blaber's gonna find Ablazeolive right here, face check into the brush. Blaber gets stunned up, but Gwen is immune and Renekton is not. Fudge gets the kill.
Cloud9 get it all, and now pings onto the Baron here. You've got the Ocean Soul, you've got double Enchanter. They can just go straight up there with that three-man squad. They have the Ivern and the Gnar just kind of distracting right now, but Blaber, Winsome, and Berserker are going to be able to kill that in a hurry, especially if he is on white gun, and of course he is, because Gwen is an Aphelios.
Yep.
At the pro level, they are just ripping through this Baron.
Okay, he switched over now. Now he's got green and blue. He only had like a couple shots left in the white.
Well, the Baron only has a couple shots left in its health bar, so
true.
that's okay.
We ended up there anyway as the Baron falls. Cloud9 will secure that one. All 5 players alive means all 5 men wearing purple. And Cloud9 are loving things now, Azael.
Yeah, really cool stuff from Cloud9. Very, very unique draft to start it out here. And after some early troubles, I mean, they get that one huge fight down in bot side, and it's been smooth sailing pretty much from Cloud9. You know, that was the massive turning point there for them. And ever since, yes, there's been a pick here, a pick there. Summit's died a couple times in sides. You know, Pridestalker's having a pretty good game, but Golden Guardians haven't been able to get the positioning, haven't been able to find the angles to actually get these initial kills. And when you take these scrappy fights where you don't have everyone there and aren't getting that kill initially, the fight is going to go so bad for you. And we saw that really exemplified when they're trying to pick out Blaber. They can't kill him off instantly. Well, now here's Sona. Now here's Ivern. Now he's back to full HP. And you are just on the run here as a Renekton, having to spend your resources to just flee the scene while someone is chilling in a side lane a couple levels up at this point from this Renekton who is trying to group, who's trying to help contest things with his team, and now feels like it may be too little too late unless you can find a perfect engage. It's tough to punch through a comp that is ahead with double enchanters. You just almost never really reach that critical mass of damage to where you can kill someone before they can get the heals and the shields on them.
Man, you're talking about mass. Well, the Church of LS is having a great time denouncing the evils of Renekton here in this one, because Licorice and the Golden Guardians are now stuck inside their base. Cloud9 applying the pressure. They'll have Baron for another 90 seconds or so, and they want to see how much they can get. Pridestalker going back over to mid while the dive happens. Bottom, Ablazeolive already dead. Blaber fears no man, fears no turret, fears nothing at all when you got 2 different enchanters backing you up. Over here in mid, it's Summit 1v2. Way out of the 1v2. Olleh, get over here. He's going back in, and they're going all the way, and Golden Guardians are going home. Cloud9, they'll take that Baron buff all the way to the Nexus and take Golden Guardians down.
Well, that's the way to do it. Entering the LCS in emphatic fashion here. Cloud9, new coach, new roster, new look. A resounding success here in game number 1 against Golden Guardians. This was such a fun game to watch. 2 very different kinds of strategies. Golden Guardians giving as good as they took in the early stages, but Cloud9 showcasing the power of their composition, dominant in that one team fight around the Dragon, stacking those early Dragons with their pressure on the bottom side. And you know, once it came to the later stages, it didn't feel like Golden Guardians had an answer to this Sona Ivern comp. They were just really pushing through so incredibly well in the team fights. Berserker and Blaber were really enough damage that they didn't need anything else. Summit is just pushing sides, and their 4-man squad was unstoppable.
That one fight was so much because it was so close.
Yeah.
Imagine the world where there's 100 more damage there for Licorice, and then he does kill the Aphelios. Now you've got a Sona and an Ivern both running from you.
Yep.
Now you've got a different look to the fight. Now things don't swing so dramatically toward Cloud9's favor. But Cloud9 got the fight they needed.
Get a 4v5 ace, it's going to be a rough time.
Huge props to Blaber for the 1v3, for navigating that and being able to make that happen. And then just the whole team being ready to go, right? Like, Blaber knows he can go in because he knows these supports have his back. They know that they can fight. Oh, we start off with our jungler getting chunked to 20%. Who cares? Chase him. You're back to full HP in 1 second. It does not matter.
Absolutely. I mean, that was such a fun game, man. And I love that, first game, the LS is here, that he's drafting. This is a very different style of comp, I was curious, is he really going to commit to a really different style of drafting, of trying to play the game? Ivern mid against Viktor.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty clear they're going for something a little bit different. The Sona bot, the Ivern mid, 2 first for this season in the LCS, both working out really, really well. Also got to give some credit over to the Golden Guardian side.
Yeah, of course.
Pridestalker in his debut, his pairing with Olleh looked really nice. You know, I like the aggressive play there. The ulti flash, the initial kill onto summon, I think is a play that not a lot of junglers would have gone for, knowing the exact amount of damage that he had there, getting the kill on Summit, moving around the map, finding a number of kills in that squad, showed some promising things for the Golden Guardians, but today, it's all about Cloud9.
Yeah, I was happy to see that early game from Golden Guardians. Up until that fateful fight with the 2 1v3s, things were looking pretty solid for them. They had over a 2,000 gold
2
lead.
plates mid.
Yeah.
2 kills on their jungler.
But they knew they had to fight at that Drake, and then there wasn't really a fight that was going to work for them when Cloud9 had that support power, when they were able to use the Sona and the Ivern and everything together. And now I'm so excited that we get to see these full rosters too.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, these are 2 of those teams that we did not have the roster for during lock-in, right?
Yeah.
Like, yes, Cloud9 did have 2 of their starters, but then 3 subs, and then Golden Guardians was running Academy. Now this is the funnest part for me. I love this. I love getting to see the full rosters. Church is in session. But for now, we're joining LeTigress and Blaber for our Verizon post-game interview.
Many hands put together in prayer prior to this game and throughout. I am joined by Blaber after this victory for Cloud9. What a way to debut this roster and the strategy behind it. Lots of enchanters heavy within this composition. I wanted to ask you your thought process on this because it looked like you weren't even worried about the lead that Golden Guardians was establishing, because as soon as you get into a team fight, we just saw how heavy that shielding and healing can be.
Yeah, so their jungler actually picked a champ that could build Serpent's Fang, which is actually pretty good for our champs, but honestly, I don't think their comp can ever win versus ours if the game goes a little bit longer and we're not inting, right? So I think we had a bit of inting this game for fun, but I think the game went pretty well.
What did you think about Pridestalker's performance overall? Because it did look like Golden Guardians were trying to be very proactive compared to their prior level of play.
I think he played pretty well this game. I mean, he was matching me in farming really well, and he was able to kill both top and bot. I think the pick he got on Gnar top while I was doing Herald was smart, and obviously didn't expect that. So I think they definitely had some good plays early, but after I got 3 kills bottom, I think they couldn't win.
Yeah, really, really very strong on that Gwen there. In fact, you did get player of the game because of that performance. It's so great to see you and the rest of the team coming together. So many eyes have been waiting with bated breath to see what would happen. So what is it like now finally having everyone here to get everybody on the same page?
It feels really good. I mean, we've only been scrimming for 3 days together with this team, so I definitely think we're going to get a lot better as it keeps going. I think this is my first time ever playing with non-English speaking teammates. So it's definitely not been easy at the beginning, I would say. I think communication is always a difficult part. So I think as the split goes on, it'll get a lot better.
I know that in a few interviews prior, you have talked about the fact that you were focused so much on building that synergy with Fudge in his role swap. Do you feel that is still a focus, or are you having to think of so many things because of communication and the like as well?
I think we just have to communicate differently. A lot of times when you have to talk in shorter sentences, you have to kind of make statements instead of asking questions because it gets confusing sometimes. But I've definitely been trying to focus on working with Fudge, as you can see by us low-key funneling today with Ivern, Gwen. And yeah, I mean, it feels good to have 2 enchanters when you're the carry.
Yeah, you felt that through and through, right? Did you feel like here on the stage you got the buff of finally being back at the studio as well as everyone around you supporting?
Yeah, I mean, I do think I'm a player that plays better on stage than in scrims. I think in scrims I do int a bit. So I definitely like getting back on stage and being able to play again.
We call it limit testing.
Yeah, limit testing. Yeah.
Blaber, thank you so much for stopping by for the interview.
Thank you very much.
What a game. What a many of games we have had so far today in the LCS. Let's head on over to the State Farm analyst desk.
Thank you so much, LeTigress. I may not have been a believer before this, but after that game, take me to church, baby. Let's go! Yeah. Church 9 has arrived. What a game. What a draft.
I had this huge smile on my face the whole time because I know no matter what happens, there's going to be this like large vindicated population. And like, how is there this much energy in game 1 when Cloud9 plays Golden Guardians? Like, take another top 4 team beating Golden Guardians in the first game, but the style in which they did it. Dragon stacking, 4 minutes, double enchanters, Ivern mid. Sign me up for more.
One thing I really want to bring up about this draft is we talked about how, like, oh, is this system going to work for, like, Blaber specifically and the way that he plays? And you saw him say this is kind of a low-key funnel composition for the Gwen, right? Like, they flexed it into the jungle. It's actually something I saw Kia do, I think, a week ago. And then on the other side, I actually think that Golden Guardians got what they wanted too, right? Like, with this Jhin Yuumi composition, the Yuumi is actually more for Pridestalker's Qiyana, and he's known for playing these really aggressive junglers. And here we see him make a play onto Summit, as in, you know, he's going to be the carry for this team. So I thought it was a really interesting dynamic, even though the two compositions are so different. They're both focused around these two junglers, Blaber and Pridestalker.
Super cool to see, and Pridestalker even getting, you know, massive props from Blaber himself in that interview for his performance out there on the stage. I think more than anything, though, Raz, when I take a look at this dichotomy that we've set up, it's that as much as we've talked about the hype around these C9 players coming in, there's as much hype around LS coming in as a coach. And for being a person who is so vocal about the way he thinks the game should be played, for him to come in day 1 as a coach, have his team play that way, I think is important. It's a put up or shut up moment. And in this time, and in this moment, they put up.
Yeah, and a lot of the times, especially with very little practice, you just default to going with comfort, right? Play what's comfortable for you guys as the players. And you had 3 days of just practice with this team, and they pull out something like this, where it is just purely a scaling composition, a group up and move forward, where Golden Guardians, yeah, you're right. They got what they wanted. Pridestalker moving quickly, moving from place to place. But the moment they made one mistake, it really fell off the hill.
I have a very imperfect analogy for how I felt
I love it. I'm
here for it.
Watching this fight where they get the 4v5 ace, and then also we'll get into another clip where there's a chase down in the jungle where everyone is just at full health. I'm a very defensive ping pong player. Right?
Okay.
I am good at returning the ball.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I am just hoping the other person gets frustrated and tries to smash it. But inevitably, I don't play against very good ping pong players. They will mess it up, and I will win. So I feel like that turret dive with the Qiyana or with the Renekton, Golden Guardians is like, I can't just play this return game over and over again. I have to try something, but it just doesn't work, man.
So, is the analogy that you're just a brick wall and you're hoping the enemy team
is trying to be the conservative brick wall.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they're saying, I dare you to do something hard.
Right.
And if you fail, the whole game is over. That's all it takes.
And I do think that's going to be really interesting to watch in the LCS specifically. We've had 4 games today, everyone completely different. We've talked about every single one of these teams. This shielding composition is just nuts. Just like got distracted by the replay. You have all of these different teams. I think strategic diversity is something that was actually quite underrated by the community outside of the LCS that we had last year. And then this year, it's gone even more in that direction. So I'm really curious to see a composition like this come up against, they play EG tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Third game of the day.
So EG is an incredibly proactive team who believes a lot in their mechanics. And I'd be very curious to see a draft like that go up against EG.
That pairs very well with your point there that you just made, Jat, whether or not EG can break through that brick wall, right?
JoJo plays ping pong hard. I've never played ping pong against him, but he must.
What do you think the speed? What's the speed of his serve? Gosh.
He's got a really strong right arm. That was an accurate, imperfect analogy. So it's fun because I remember 2018 LPL where you had such diversity within the league, and it felt like you were kind of ready for anything, right? When you came time for playoff best of 5, when it came time for an international event, you felt like you were ready for the exam. because of all the teams that had trained you up until this point. So it's nice to see the diversity amongst these teams. I am now more than interested to see what the next few drafts have in order for us. And then a low-key thing, Summit just played incredibly this game. He was like definitely by the end of it during the soul pickup for Cloud9, he was just blue suede shoes, ducking and dodging, multiple skill shots going in his direction. So that's nice to see, and he had a huge advantage as well.
I can't hear the phrase blue suede shoes without thinking of our old man Riv. One of the classic calls from him. Either way, great win by Cloud9 for Golden Guardians, not this time around, but to see more of them catch their game tomorrow. And stay tuned at the end of tomorrow's broadcast, where Licorice and Ablazeolive will join myself and LeTigress on Bud Light League Lounge for what I hope will be the most impressive game of beer pong you have ever seen. Spoiler alert, it won't be. I suck at beer pong, but it will be fun. All right, when we return, Immortals Progressive get their shot at redemption when they take on Dignitas Quantum Pay. We'll catch you right back here in just a bit.
No flash on Winsome, he's dead. They've already got him rooted. Pridestalker has joined the fight, and Winsome has joined the dead. Ablazeolive's now stuck in the bottom side of the river. He's going to be taken down. Blaber is 1v3 in the 3. Better run. Blaber's doing a lot of damage to everybody else, while Cloud9's able to win their 3v1 instead. Double kill back over to Blaber. Olleh, you are not long for this. World splat that cat. Triple kill.
Initializing legendary moments.
Take a look while you can, because if you blink, you'll miss it.
I'm sure you've heard the news.
Gold, gold, and more gold.
Here comes the big play. Oh, that's perfect timing. You can see this one coming. They get what they need. They got the mids. They got the support. They got the top.
Are they going to give you some fun League of Legends? Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Welcome to the LCS.
FTX, official cryptocurrency exchange partner of the LCS.
Sequence complete.
What is going on?
I can't afford streaming anymore, so.
Sure you can. State Farm has rates that fit your budget.
Oh, good. Because some true crime would be nice.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or click to get a quote today.